Hello everyone, this is Ola. In this video, I'll discuss the connective tissue. Remember that we have four tissues in our body. The epithelium that we discussed in the previous video, which is the tissue that covers us from outside, that makes the epidermis of the skin and lines our body cavities from inside. And then the second is the connective tissue, which is our topic for today. Then we have the muscle tissue and nervous tissue. So the connective tissue is made up of cells, fibers, and ground substance. It's like a gel-like substance. So we have cells, we have fibers, and we have ground substance. So it's the connective tissue. So it's the tissue that connects. So it connects tissues to one another. The connective tissues also support. So here we have the bone and cartilage for support and to protect. The blood and blood cells, like the white blood cells, are to protect us against bacteria and viruses. Also, it transports because the blood transports gases like oxygen to our cells and carbon dioxide out from our cells. Also, it's to cushion and insulate, and this is the fatty connective tissue. So the connective tissue in general has three types. The connective tissue proper means the true one or the genuine one, and this can be loose or dense. What is the difference? The loose connective tissue means it has few fibers and a lot of ground substance. The dense is the one that has a lot of fibers and less ground substance. And then we have the supporting connective tissue, which is our bone and cartilage. The fluid connective tissue, which is basically the blood. The three types of connective tissue are derived from the same origin during our fetal life, which is the mesoderm. So the mother of the bone is the same mother of the blood. They are brothers. Okay, so let's go with the connective tissue proper, the true or genuine one. And let's start with the loose that has few fibers and a lot of ground substance. We have three types. Areolar, from air, it has a lot of spaces. And the areolar connective tissue is found in the papillary layer of the dermis of the skin. So here is the skin. The outer layer is the epidermis, and the epidermis is an epithelium. The middle is the dermis, and the dermis has the top layer. It has projections, so we call it papillary layer. The papillary layer has areolar connective tissue. Then we have the fatty or adipose connective tissue. If you look at the individual cells, the cell is full of fat, this, and the fat pushes the nucleus here to the side of the cell. So if you see a cell full of fat and the nucleus is found at the side of the cell, at the periphery, that's an adipose connective tissue. This is found under skin and between our body organs. So here is our skin. So again, up is epidermis, then dermis, and then under the skin, this is the subcutaneous tissue or hypodermis. And this is adipose connective tissue. Then we have the reticular connective tissue. If you look under the microscope and find dark stained fibers, these dark stained reticular fibers means reticular connective tissue. It's the one that works like a strainer, so it filters. So it is found in places we need to filter, like the spleen to filter the blood and lymph nodes to filter the lymph fluid. Now with the dense connective tissue, so it has a lot of fibers. So we have dense regular connective tissue. Why regular? Because here the fibers are kind of very regular. They are in parallel rows like this. And the regular connective tissue found in our muscle tendons. Then here we have a lot of fibers also, but they are very disorganized all over the place. So this is dense, irregular connective tissue. This is the tissue found in the dermis, but where? In the deeper layer of the dermis that we call reticular layer. So again, back to the skin. This is the dermis. Up here is the papillary layer that has areolar connective tissue. And then here, this is the papillary layer, the reticular layer. And the reticular layer has dense, irregular connective tissue. Then we have the elastic connective tissue. If you look at the individual fibers, they have that wrinkly appearance, so they are able to stretch and recoil back like a rubber band. So this is found in our big arteries, like the aorta. So when the artery is full of blood, the fibers stretch. When there is less blood, they recoil back. Now with the supporting connective tissue, and this is our cartilage and bones. We have three types of cartilage, and the cartilage gives some support. It's kind of semi-support. So they are not very rigid. They are kind of semi-solid. The very rigid tissue is the bone. We have three types of cartilage, but every cartilage has something in common, which is lacunae. So if you look at this lacuna, it has a space outside, which is this white circle. Inside this space, we have a cartilage cell that we call chondrocyte. And here is the nucleus of the cell. Outer here, this is the cell membrane. So if you find cartilage cells inside a space, this is the lacuna, and all the three types of cartilage have lacunae. The hyaline connective tissue is kind of shiny. It has a glossy appearance. So you can see here are our lacunae. And this hyaline cartilage is found in the epiphyseal plates and articulation surfaces. So when a bone comes to another bone, this is an articulation surface, and this is covered with hyaline cartilage. So during childhood, we have the growth plates or epiphyseal plates. So here at the end of the long bones, upper end and lower end, and this epiphyseal plate allows for growth. So during childhood, this cartilage is gradually replaced by bones as the bone gets longer. So if you reach your adulthood, there is no epiphyseal plate anymore. Everything here will be replaced by a bone. Where also can you find the hyaline cartilage? So here is a bone, and this is another bone. Both ends are lined with hyaline cartilage to prevent bone-to-bone friction. Sometimes with aging, we lose some of this hyaline cartilage, and this is osteoarthritis, which is so painful sometimes. Okay, so this is our hyaline cartilage. Then we have the fibrocartilage, and the fibrocartilage has kind of parallel rows of lacunae. They are parallel. This is one lacuna here, another, and another. So they go in a parallel direction. This is found in the intervertebral discs, pubic symphysis, at the menisci of the knee joints. So if you look here, this is a part of the vertebral column. Between each two vertebrae, we have the intervertebral disc, and this is made with fibrocartilage, which is actually the strongest cartilage in our body. When a hip bone articulates with the other, this cartilage here in between is the pubic symphysis, and this is also fibrocartilage. Then the elastic cartilage, it has darkly stained elastic fibers. Of course, it has also lacunae. This is found at the tip of your nose, at the tip of the nose, and auricle of the ear. So if you touch your auricle, it's kind of rigid but elastic at the same time, so you can bend it. So this is elastic cartilage. Now with the supporting connective tissue, which is our bone. So we have the outer layer of the bone, which is rigid, that we call compact bone. If you look under the microscope to the compact bone, you will find the bone is filled with osteons. So this is one osteon, another osteon. This is a magnified one. So the osteon has kind of lamella or rings. It's like the growth rings of trees. And in the center, here we have the central canal. The central canal has the blood and nerve supply to the bone. So here you will have a capillary and a nerve supply. So if you look under the microscope and you see osteons, this must be the compact bone. So compact bone has osteons. The spongy bone is the deeper part, which is soft from its name, spongy. This has irregular trabeculae and bone marrow cavities. The bone marrow is a factory that produces our blood cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. And this spongy bone does not have osteons. The compact bone is the one that has osteons. Now with the fluid connective tissue, which is our blood, here is a blood smear. And you can see that we have three types of cells. The ones without nuclei are the red blood cells. They are erythrocyte. Erythro means red, cyte means a cell. The larger ones, and they have a nucleus that has multiple lobules. They are the white blood cells or leukocytes. Leuco means white colored, cyte means a cell. And those small particles are the platelets. The platelets are responsible for clotting of the blood in case of injury to prevent loss of the blood and bleeding.